Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And I know that I made a video earlier yesterday around like noon or so, where I did go over some of the Hinman documents. Well, we got more that came out. But also, I do want to address a few things. So I've seen a lot of comments on that video saying like these Hinman documents don't mean anything. I want you guys to understand that there was a lot of shocking evidence around those Hinman documents. Whether or not you want to believe that they were shocking or not, that's totally fine. You don't need to. But as we do look at what happened around those Hinman documents, there was a lot of significance there. Also, the reputation around the SEC also got harmed within these documents coming to the general public. And also, the overall argument around the XRP community has been confirmed by these documents. I think that everything around these documents is crucial to have, a spotlight put on them because, now there is no argument. There's been so much FUD around, the XRP community for so long saying that, you are all just conspiracy theorists, you're this, you're that. And guess what? All of that gets put to rest with these Hinman documents. So I think that they are significant. And shout out to Jungle Inc. over on Twitter, also over on YouTube as well. We do see in some ways the Hinman documents were more powerful than expected. The SEC acknowledges that Hinman was making up his own test, not based on the law. They also admit this creates confusion. The SEC admits if someone is using a token, it's not a security. This is good for on-demand liquidity. Also, the SEC admits they are not even sure on Ethereum and may want to change their stance in the future. The SEC admits there are regulatory gaps that they may not have authority over. The SEC listed the Hinman speech on their website to guide the market. Clayton personally directed market participants to this speech. The whole crypto space shifted to be compliant with his guidelines. If the SEC wants to shift policy, do so with further guidance, not enforcement. And yes, everything around these documents is crucial to note. Now, listen, I think a lot of people misinterpreted these Hinman documents. I think that mainly the biggest problem that I see around the XRP community is that they think that these documents being released is an instant settlement or an instant win for Ripple. It's not. Listen, this is going to take some time. The same with the price, right? So I did outline the price action in that video as well. And a lot of people were saying this video didn't age well. I wasn't talking about, how this is a price event. I even said this is not a major price event that's going to drastically increase the value of XRP. And I even said in that video that we need to clear that resistance level first before we even get excited about the price action. And guess what? We did not do so. So now we wait to see the price stabilize and average in like we were before. I even mentioned a lot of price levels that I'm personally looking at on XRP. If we do lose 50 cents in a pretty big way, then I am looking at anywhere between, 35 to 40 cents. But again, the question is, do we get those levels? Who knows, right? But for the most part, these documents were very crucial and they were very powerful. Also, a lot more happened earlier yesterday. For an example, the Hinman emails help Coinbase, Ethereum, and Ripple's fair notice defense. How much it helps anyone in a courtroom is yet to be seen, but in the court of public opinion and in Congress, the emails should help drive attention to how hypocritical and reckless the SEC is being. Another good thing to note is how it benefits Coinbase, Ethereum, Binance, and almost everyone in this entire industry. It's not just about Ripple. It's not just about XRP. It was never about that. It's about shining a light on the integrity of a government agency set here to not only protect the general public, but also help guide this industry. And that's not what they're doing. They're guiding their pockets, they're benefiting themselves, and that's all they care about. In fact, Library came out and said, really regretting that we didn't bribe the SEC like Ethereum did. If you get the chance to bribe government officials, please do it. It's worth every penny. This is a completely serious tweet, by the way. Cryptocurrency in the US actually would be in an even worse place without Ethereum/SEC corruption, and 100% it would. But, it's sad. It's sad that a lot of these projects and these companies are being targeted and essentially killed off because of the corruption that is happening within the government sector. And here we have the regulatory gap, right? Proof from the Hinman emails of what we've been saying to the Third Circuit, to Congress, and to the SEC itself, that the securities laws are incomplete when it comes to digital assets. I thought Gary Gensler said that these are complete, that there's so much guidance, that everything's transparent, it's clear, there's so much clarity. Yeah, well, guess what? It's not the truth. That securities laws aren't meant to roll over all digital assets, and that many digital assets are not securities. And if we look here, this is the comment talking more so about Ethereum and Buterin and how they talked with Buterin, but also the fact that tokens on a sufficiently decentralized network are no longer securities and no longer are required to register, with all the benefits to investors of registration, seems to point out what might be considered the regulatory gap that exists in this space. And yes, it is, because it doesn't pertain to Howey. It doesn't pertain to any laws out there, because there is no laws here. There is no guidance here. There is no transparency here. There's no clarity here. And that's the biggest argument that we've been making for so long. And also over here from Stuart Alderati, absolute massive thread. This is a 4-minute and 38-second long video. I highly suggest everybody go listen to it and watch it. You probably already did. 2 million views, massive amounts of likes and retweets, because again, a lot of people loved this video because it did outline everything that's been happening since going all the way back to 2018 to now. And we do see it's been 5 years since Bill Hinman gave his infamous speech, and through the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple and 7 court orders, we could finally share what happened behind the scenes through the now public emails / drafts of the speech. We now can all see Hinman ignored multiple warnings that his speech contained made-up analysis with no basis in law, was divorced from the Howey factors, exposed regulatory gaps, and would create not just confusion, but greater confusion in the market. A refresher, Hinman, as head of the SEC's Corp Fin, gave a speech in June 2018 declaring that a security or a token is not a security once it becomes sufficiently decentralized. And he invented factors to consider when making a sufficiently decentralized determination. Although Hinman claimed that the speech was his personal view, he and the SEC touted it as guidance. Then SEC Chair Jay Clayton publicly pointed to it, despite the SEC repeatedly flip-flopping on the significance of the speech in litigation. It remains on the agency's website. Now let's look at what senior SEC officials directly said to Hinman about his speech as he was drafting it. Head of Trading and Markets TNM said, because the list of factors is so extensive and appears to include things that go beyond the typical Howey analysis, we have concerns this might lead to greater confusion on what is a security. Hinman ignored those concerns, which we did mention in that video. T&M directly asked Hinman to tie his newly invented factors more closely and explicitly to the Howey analysis. Again, Hinman ignored the suggestion. Office of General Counsel and TNM called this factor legally irrelevant. Has this person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital assets such that it would be motivated to expend efforts to cause an increase in value in the digital asset? Hinman kept it. TNM and OGC noted Hinman skipped over the threshold jurisdictional question of whether a digital asset meets the legal standards of a security. He jumped to asking whether the SEC oversight could, in Hinman's view, be beneficial. Hinman ignored this regulatory gap. On June 4th, Hinman wrote that he didn't see a need to regulate Ethereum as a security and would call Buterin later that week to confirm our understanding. On June 12th, OGC expressed its reservations about including a statement directly about Ethereum in the speech because it would make it difficult for the agency to take a different position on Ethereum in the future. Ethereum remained as a cited example. So what should happen now? First, remove the speech immediately from the SEC's website. An investigation must be conducted to understand what or who influenced Hinman, why conflicts, or at the very least appearances of conflicts, were ignored, and why the SEC touted the speech knowing that it would create greater confusion. And finally, Hinman's speech should never again be invoked in any serious discussion about whether a token is or is not a security. Unelected bureaucrats must faithfully apply the law within the constraints of their jurisdiction. They can't, as Hinman tried, create new law. And yeah, this is the case. And ultimately speaking, listen, all of this, what I just read, everything around this proves to me that, yeah, we still have a long way to go until we have proper regulatory clarity for the space. And, a regulatory framework is being drafted. I've actually looked into a lot of things around the BIS, the IMF, and even the FRB. There's a lot of things happening behind closed doors. I might be doing a video on that later on today. But if we look at a lot of what's happening here, like regulations, it's going to take some time. Honestly, we could be years away from proper regulations, but hey, everyone should applaud that, because being early in this market without regulations and without mass adoption means that we will benefit greatly from a lot of those gains, and we will be able to recirculate those gains back into XRP and creating a much larger utility bag of XRP, as well as other utility tokens like HBAR, XLM, Casper, you name it, right? So, take this time, be patient, make sure that you are understanding what's happening. I know that everyone hates waiting. So far, we've been waiting 2.5 years on XRP, and I get that. I understand the frustration, but patience will be rewarded, and I strongly believe that. But also over here, from Mr. Huber, I deleted my tweets because I thought I was wrong, and this memorandum was from a law firm and not from the SEC itself. But it is. Excerpts from the memorandum are quoted as quotes from the SEC senior staff. And here you guys have SEC did not object to non-security treatment. So yeah, I mean, like when we look at this is from Frecky_OG. And we do see the quote down here for everyone to see. This proves to me yet again that there was just not enough guidance based on the above analysis and subject to the qualifications and assumptions set forth herein. We believe as of the date of this memorandum that you have reasonable grounds to conclude that XRP does not satisfy all elements of the Howey analysis and is therefore not a security or purposes of the federal securities laws. Again, this is from actual SEC staff mentioning that XRP is not a security and it doesn't cater to the Howey analysis, which is wild, right? Like this is the proof in the pudding, and we still have no confirmation if XRP is going to, be cleared or not cleared. We still have no summary judgment. We have no movement yet. And I'm not going to sit here and say, there you guys have it. Ripple's going to win, blah, blah, blah. We don't know. We have to wait. And I know waiting sucks, but it's better to wait than speculate on if Ripple's going to win this and, a date when they are going to win it as well. But also over here, we did see Binance file its brief today as well. And look at the argument it raises. Number one, the Ripple, an investment contract requires a contract, aka blue sky law defense. It's starting to spread. And this is from Jeremy Hogan, and here you guys have it. So as a matter of law, the SEC cannot prevail on its claim because it has presented no evidence of a contract involving BNB, let alone an investment contract under the Securities Act. In Howey, the Supreme Court explained that the meaning of the statutory term investment contract was crystallized by a series of state cases interpreting state blue sky laws. Howey 328 US at 298. Every single blue sky case finding an investment contract had three essential ingredients. And they do mention the number one, an investment contract involved the contract. The contract imposed post-sale obligations on the promoter to take specific actions for the investor's benefit. And also three, that contract granted the investor a right to share in profits from the promoter's efforts to generate a return on the use of the investor funds. And again, all of this is pertaining to the same exact argument that Ripple had, right? So it's kind of interesting. It definitely is interesting to see a lot of these exchanges now firing back. I think that this is great. And even Coinbase, we do see over here, we asked the SEC for feedback. Unfortunately, we were met with silence. And this got posted from Bloomberg Crypto. Check this out.
Many discussions with them in the last year when their tone started to change and they started to come to us with more questions about the business. So we were very forthcoming. We met with them probably 30 times over the last year. And we started to kind of ask them for feedback. And we said, we would like there to be a robust market in the US to trade crypto securities. Of the 1,000+ assets we've reviewed today, we've rejected 90% of them. The ones we trade, we believe, are commodities. What feedback do you have for this, for us? How can we come in and register? How can we work together? And unfortunately, we were met with silence. We really got no feedback in those 30 meetings, many discussions.
And again, this is how... dealing with the SEC goes. And it's a big problem. It's a big deal. And also, today, we did see Financial Services, GOP. All Republicans on the House Financial Services Committee sent a letter to the SEC Gov demanding it rescind its proposed amendments to the definition of exchange, which would stifle innovation and harm digital asset market participants. Again, a lot of pressure right now is on the SEC. I think that the SEC's overall reputation has been harmed with the documents coming out. There's a lot of pressure here. And I love to see it, and they are continuing it home. You know, under Gensler, the SEC is pursuing a regulation by enforcement approach to digital assets that has repeatedly failed to protect consumers and smothers financial innovation. Republicans are working on comprehensive legislation to end Chair Gensler's reckless actions. And as I've always said, actions speak louder than words. Let's wait and see what happens around Congress. Do I think Congress will home on with regulations? So I think that they will be the ones to bring regulations to the space. It's very well possible, but we have to wait and see. Because again, there's a lot of regulatory frameworks being drafted by some very large names like the BIS, the IMF, you name it, right? So we have to wait and see, but it seems as though all pressure is on the SEC from Congress, from the exchanges, from Ripple, and now these Hinman documents, the general public knows, the general public is now aware. So in my opinion, there is going to be a lot of pressure on the SEC, and who knows, this could very well mark the top for the SEC's overall enforcement on this space and their blatant attacks of utilizing mafia-like power to just go after whoever they choose and strong-arm them into either one, completely shutting down or paying a big fine. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. It's been Nick. Peace out, guys.